Tech News Weekly is sponsored by Audible.com, the internet's leading provider of audiobooks, with more than 100,000 downloadable titles across all types of literature. Stitcher Radio. Listen on the go via the Stitcher mobile app. For more information, go to Stitcher.com/GFQ. And by Ting, mobile that makes sense. Go to gfq.ting.com and get a $25 credit when signing up.
Starting Tech News Weekly in 3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, welcome to Tech News Weekly. I'm Andrew Zarian, and this is your source for all things tech. Today, we're mixing it up a little bit. Suncast is not here. He's sick. I asked him about an hour ago if he's doing it, and you could barely recognize who it was. It actually helped. You might have enjoyed it. The laugh was gone, guys. There was no laughing. But instead, I have a great guest. I have Michael Manna with us today, T4Show.com. For all things Michael Manna, follow him on Twitter, at Michael Manna. How you doing, Michael?
I'm doing great. I guess just the day the laughter died.
The day the laughter died, yeah. Does anybody remember laughter, as in the great words of Robert Plant? Michael Manna does a great show called T4 Show, and I guess we'll announce it now, Michael, but you guys are joining full-time to GFQ.
Yeah, we had a great run doing it on our own and everything, but I really do believe, and so does Colm, that it's time to take the next step. It's time to join with you, because basically, Colm and I we have our strengths, but we also have our weaknesses, and we can identify those. And quite frankly, those are strengths that the GFQ network has, and they can definitely complement where the goals of Colm, myself, and the entire T4 Show brand want to go. And if we can all, go to the next level together, that's great.
No, and I'm a big fan of the show, and I know Colm pretty well. He's visited me here. He came over a couple months ago, and we were talking about it. And you've been on the shows a bunch of times. Yeah, you've been on shows a bunch of times, and I thought it would be a great hookup for us to kind of link up and to bring you guys on board. But you guys do tech a little differently than a lot of other shows. You don't just sit there and just read the news. You guys kind of bring your personalities to the show.
Yeah, it's really hard. You know how hard it is having all the different segments, including you have Tech News Weekly right now, which how many Tech News Weekly shows are there there's got to be hundreds of them. So to make it different or find your niche, especially with having another one, it's called the Week in Tech News or whatever you call it. It's really difficult. What Colm and I do is kind of like give you an organic thing, what we're using week to week, and we're going to try to narrow it down to probably something like gadgets and video games, and maybe stray off in some other stuff with rumors and news. But I think doing that and just basically making the show every week a living, breathing, updated review show, like we've done a lot on T4 Show videos on YouTube, I think that's going to really make us stand out. And also, it's pretty easy because we're actually using the stuff day in and day out.
Yeah, I consider myself a tech enthusiast, but I'm more of like a gadget junkie. I like little gadgets, and I like phones, and I like things like that. Yeah, we'll discuss major things that are happening in technology that necessarily don't have to do with gadgets, but that's what I kind of like, so I like to talk about what I kind of know about, which you guys kind of do the same thing, which is great, but you bring the gaming portion of technology and geekism to your show, which I'm so out of the loop when it comes to gaming. Somebody asked me recently, he's like, hey, I do a gaming show. Would you want to be on? I said, the only thing I could really discuss is Super Mario World. Because that's how disconnected I am from the gaming world at this point.
Well, Colm's right back in there with the Wii U, so the Super Mario will never go away. And that's another thing. One thing you're going to miss, at least your wife's going to miss, is the outtakes on the live open, because we're going to go into an edit format, unless she wants me to just make pre-recorded outtakes just for her.
Oh, yeah. I actually told her that. And I said, they're coming over. He's like, oh, that's good. And I said, well, unfortunately for you, those outtakes aren't going to be there. And she was a little disappointed. So maybe you could throw in a couple outtakes and send it over, and I could just hit it on loop.
Actually, there is a T4 show outtake video on YouTube that I thought would probably go viral, and unfortunately it didn't. But look up T4 show outtakes. It's not for young children, and we could probably lose a couple sponsors if people heard my language in it. But so, if anyone's listening who's a sponsor, don't watch that video.
No, definitely check. I think the guy should go check it out. I think Suncast will find it if he's watching and put it in the chat room. But let's go into some tech news, Michael, because a lot of stuff has been happening over the last week and a half. We were off last week. Our schedules were a little wacky last week, but I want to discuss some of these topics with you because I thought you kind of be interested in things like this. I know from your videos on T4 and everything that you put on Facebook and Twitter, you buy a lot of these gadgets. Are you interested in Google Glasses at all? They're saying it's going to arrive sometime in 2013, and it's going to be under $1,500.
I don't think so. I really this is almost as expensive as that Chromebook you and Paul were talking about on What the Tech. It's an expensive piece of hardware. It's a distracting piece of hardware from what it looks like. And I think the people that are going to buy it now and probably for the foreseeable future are the 1%ers, the people that are very rich and they have disposable income. I think $1,500 can be better spent on building an entire studio for the network or doing other more productive things. Google Glasses is cool. And if you're in a McDonald's, you can get into a fight over it. I mean, think about it this way real quick. You have a piece of eyewear that records video, correct? Like it's like life casting, if I'm not mistaken. That's what the whole thing is supposed to point towards.
I think you're going to be able to, I don't know if the first model is going to have this, but pretty much it's going to be connected to the internet. You're going to have your Google updates coming up on your screen. You're going to have appointments, your Gmail, your Google Chat, and you're going to be able to record stuff with it and post it, instantaneously. But
wasn't there a thing that happened in the McDonald's somewhere where someone walked in with it and they told them they can't work? I guess they were aware that you can record video. How many places do we go? I mean, think about it, the airport especially. If you even hold up your iPhone to take a picture or video, how many people are on you?
How about the movie theater? Movie theater?
I mean, there's so many places where it really is locked down and you cannot record. You're legally allowed. I mean, it's your right, but no establishment will let people record video. What about the Super Bowl? You're not allowed to record any video, or if they catch you with anything with a bigger lens than so-and-so, they take your camera away from you. There's so much stuff that
Is that true? I didn't know that.
If you have a big enough, like if DSLR with one of those, especially one of those long white Canon lenses, they wouldn't let you have it. There was a limit on the distance of the lens that you could have at the Super Bowl.
Oh, I had no idea about that.
So, I mean, that's not Google Glasses, and also think about it. You're wearing these glasses, which is someone who got LASIK, so they didn't have to ever wear glasses again. Yeah. I don't see it as being attractive. But what about driving and texting? Now you're driving and seeing all your updates. How distracting is that?
I was thinking that. I was thinking at the distraction level that this thing is going to have. But I was also thinking at what this device represents. If you look at the future of this device, this is a beta device that they're going to release in a year. Let's say 2014 is when it realistically comes out. So we got another year. It's a beta device to what it could possibly be. And my idea is, you know what? Forget about the glasses. They're going to put these in contact lenses. And you're going to have a contact lens in, and everything is going to be via whatever is in that contact lens.
Well, what I would do then is wait about 5 years, and then when you buy a regular pair of glasses or you have contact lenses, that micro technology is already, or nanotechnology, I mean, it's going to be that small, is already built into the glasses and into the contact lens. There's all sorts of other things. You're talking about the FDA. You're talking about a whole bunch of other government bureaucracy and safety. You're putting something into your eye now. I mean, that could be even more dangerous. I see it as being a great thing. It's fun to look at. It's fun to think about. But what's the real use for somebody that's trying to be practical and in this economy, even frugal about the money they spend?
$1,500, but if you look at what we spend money on, let's say it's $1,000. I could see justifying buying this thing if it actually works the way that they're representing it to work.
The only way I could see $1,000 working is somebody that has a prescription for glasses, which glasses got to run a few $100s now anyway. Then you add that feature on. Now you got two things. You actually have something that helps with your vision, and then something that enhances the experience of having those glasses anyway. to actually go out of your way to buy a pair of glasses, which isn't even a pair of sunglasses. It's really just over one eye. If I remember looking at it, it's like halfway over one of your eyes. Correct?
Yeah, I mean it's a frame with a little thing that projects into your eye, right in front of your eye.
That's something that hasn't been tested out yet. It's only been out for a year or two. So what effect is that going to have on your eye? What effect is that going to have for something? I mean, even if you're thinking kind of like way out there, I mean, something like that could actually cause vertigo. I mean, a whole bunch of stuff they don't even know until probably.
I can't wear glasses. I have a big problem where I wear contacts all the time because I can't wear glasses. I get awful migraines if I have any kind of glasses on, prescription, non-prescription, sunglasses. Even if it's a clear frame, I can't wear them. I get the worst migraines in the world. So from someone like me, I don't know if I could use something like this.
I'm not being negative. I'm not being a devil's advocate. But what about those contact lenses? What if there's some short circuits with something in your eye? That is not going to be fun.
How about we just become bionic at this point, Michael?
I sound so grizzled, so old and grizzled. I'm gonna have an iPhone 4S in the last show I talked about. I'm moving backwards. Next thing I'm gonna be doing is nailing stuff down on a rock slab and sending it out through snail mail.
Listen, there's nothing wrong with that. I saw someone. I was at a bar that I go to press here in Queens, and one of the bartenders. We were talking about phones, and I brought my Nokia Lumia 920, which I'm gonna do a detailed review today on this. I brought it with me, and he goes, "You want to see my phone?" And he literally brought a StarTech out.
I love those phones.
He had a StarTech.
That was my favorite flip phone of all time.
It's one of the best.
Sprint had it first, I think. Yeah, I was a Sprint customer. Sprint was the first one that really made phones or cell phones and cell phone plans affordable to people. If I remember that correctly. Yeah, Sprint was the first one to make something under $100 a month that you could afford.
Sprint PCS.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to talk about some of these devices that came out of Mobile World Congress happening in Europe over the week. There were a lot of these weird, like phone hybrid tablet devices that were coming out. Galaxy Note 8.0 was announced. There's so many of these 8.0, 7.0, 10.0 Galaxy tablets that they're releasing. But there was another one that I found pretty interesting, and it was by Asus. And it was a tablet that has phone functionality. And we were talking about this on Tech News on What to Tech, and I wanted to get your opinion on this, Michael. Do you think this is the next step for these devices? They already put data on them, but do you think they should have the phone radio on these tablets? Because if you think about it, if I'm taking a tablet with me, let's say into the city, I don't need to take my phone if I can make a phone call on that thing. You have a Bluetooth headset, and you just walk around, and that could be your phone.
Well, you're talking about the Pad Phone 2, the Pad Phone Infinity that just got announced with Mobile World Congress. I think it's unique, and at least it's more unique than what they've been doing with other things. Instead of putting a skin or something else to make it their own, they've went one step further on the hardware side and said, listen, you have this phone. I think it's a 5-inch screen or bigger from Asus, which, by the way, makes the Nexus 7, right? That's an Asus tablet. So they're not no stranger to making tablets.
Yeah.
So you take that Pad Phone 2 or the Pad Phone Infinity, and you put that. There's a slip in the back. It looks like kind of like a Bose sound dock type thing in the back of the tablet, and it slides into place. It locks in, and now you have a tablet experience. The advantage I see with this too, Andrew, is you don't have to pay for 2 data plans. Now you have a tablet with 3G or 4G connectivity.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious on why they haven't done it. Now, from what I'm looking at, one of them is the one that slips in, and the other one just is a gigantic phone. It's a 7-inch or 8-inch phone.
Oh, I didn't see that one. So
Yeah.
actually now they're going up to like 8-inch phones. That's the thing about the next one. I saw on the notes talking about the Galaxy Note 8.0. They haven't really talked. I've heard about people saying that, well, you can use it as a phone if you want. I'm not sure if it has a cellular radio, but you want to talk about something that's way, way too big. I mean, people think the Note 2 is too big. That's crazy.
But is it too big if it's a tablet that you can make phone calls on rather than it being a phone?
Well, for the sake of convergence, I mean, think about that. I'd love to have I'd love to see my iPad mini. I have LTE on mine, but it's not unlimited. I love to use that as a GPS and make a little thing in my car that I can make the slide, kind of rig it up to slide in and out and charge and all that stuff. To see a Galaxy Note 8.0 like Galaxy Note 2 come out, I think that would be great.
Are you a fan of these Android tablets? Do you like them?
I never thought I would say this. I'm a big fan of TouchWiz. I'm a big fan of that version of Android as opposed to even vanilla version, which used to be my favorite. I think Samsung has really almost outdone iOS with the enhancements and all the other stuff that they've done with the Galaxy S3 and the Galaxy Note 2. Those are my two favorite Android devices. And Colm has the Nexus 4, thinking that was going to be the mother of all Android phones, and he keeps reaching for that Note 2.
Yeah, which I found surprising, but a lot of people have not been happy with the Galaxies that they've been releasing. I have the Galaxy Nexus, and I meant people weren't happy with the Nexus, not the Galaxy. People love the Galaxy, but I have a Nexus Galaxy, and it got awful reviews initially when it came out, and I came from an older Android phone, so for me, the phone was fine. It's still good. I still use it. There's nothing wrong with it, but they're not putting all their effort in this flagship phone as far as hardware goes. It's not the best Android phone on the market. It's the only one with the pure Google experience, but if you're talking about the best Android phone on the market, you have to go to the Samsungs.
I agree. I never thought that's the thing too in the camera. You would think that one of these guys, even the Note 2 and the S3, are close to the iPhone. But, you would think they would say, if we put a killer camera in this phone, that you'd see me with a Note 2 in my hand right now.
Isn't that amazing that they haven't?
They haven't done it. But the Note 2 and the S3 come pretty damn close to the iPhone 4S. I don't know about the 5. I can't speak on that. But as far as updates, this is why backing up to the Nexus 4 or the Galaxy Nexus, I would be more attracted back then, even in the beginning of the Nexus 4, saying, okay, this is going to have the updates for the next 2 major updates from Android or from Google. But that's not the case anymore. Samsung has really stepped up their game and really brought, it hasn't been months. I think it's been maybe weeks to 2 months or something like that they've updated, behind pure vanilla Android. They've really been on top of those updates with the Note 2 and the Galaxy S3. So if anybody's looking for an Android phone, I would go Samsung Note 2 if you can deal with the size. Maybe not the S3 because S4 is coming out soon, but you could probably get a great deal. And then maybe vanilla Android. Do you have another skin that you like Sense or something?
I've not really. I'm not crazy about the skins. I know Sense is not bad. For a while, I was talking about this before to somebody. I had an HTC Touch Pro that was a Windows mobile phone.
On What the Tech, I heard it.
And
yeah.
I had the what did they call it? I think it was the HTC Sense UI. Yeah, it was called Sense. Mm-hmm. And it was phenomenal. I loved it, and I know that there's a new Sense UI for Android out, and people are praising it at this point. They really like it. So I don't know. I feel that I would rather have the pure experience than anything else, but people seem to be liking it. I mean, people like what Samsung is doing, and people like what HTC's doing. So maybe I'm missing something there.
Well, let's break it down real quick, and we'll talk about the Note 2 because, in case you didn't know, that's my favorite Android phone. The Note 2, first of all, screen size, screen real estate, screen resolution, it's right on par with the iPhone. I mean, as far as the resolution, the size can't be beat. For me, the videos, all that stuff cannot be beat for the screen size. Battery life, nothing can beat the Note 2 on battery life. You can get a good 2 days out of it, even if you're using the damn thing. The iPhone 4S or the 5 doesn't come close to the Note 2. 2 more things have to do with expandability. Expandable battery, so you can put a second battery or a bigger extended battery in it without negating the size or sticking out with a hump like past Android phones. Expandable storage. You can get a 64 gig micro SD card and bump that sucker up to, 90 gigs of storage?
That's amazing.
So, I mean, what you're talking about here, Andrew, is like, and I'm making a case for it because I still have an iPhone, so I'm still an Apple and iOS fanboy, but I have to recognize that Samsung is putting out some great products, and Apple is kind of still resting on their laurels. If they don't come around this WWDC and reinvent or redo the UI for this iPhone, I don't know. I might have a Note 2 in my hand even before that.
Yeah, see, that's interesting because we always talk about hardware, right? It's always been about hardware, but recently it's shifted, and now it's about software. And Android has done a decent job at cleaning up, and from, Jelly Bean is a great operating system, and Ice Cream Sandwich was really good too. So they've really stepped up their game when it comes to the user experience with their phone and streamlining everything that they have. iOS had the lead. They've done great. It's a perfectly complete OS, but it's getting dated at this point when you compare it to every other operating system on the market. Compare it to Windows Phone. Compare it to Android. Compare it to even the BlackBerry phone that's coming out. The UI is getting a little dated for iOS. And you're right. I think they're gonna have to make a major revamp. But I mean, we've seen some of the software changes they've done over the last year. We've seen it done to iTunes. We've seen it done to the podcasting app that they have that they're putting out on iOS. And I'm kind of losing faith in their software development. There's a disconnect there.
Absolutely. And, I'll tell you what, I said it on the show before. I've said it on many T4 shows. If that Nokia 920 that you have in your hand, if they could get the camera right, because the camera still needs an update, needs a lot of tweaking, and most importantly, if they gave me an experience with that Google Maps gives me on iOS and Android, Google Navigation, I would have a Nokia Lumia 920. There's no operating system that's as fluid. There's no operating system that is as fast with using hardware that seems to almost be a little dated compared to the Android counterpart and the iOS counterpart. But a beautiful experience from top to bottom and just a joy to use. That's what Windows Phone 8 is to me. Unfortunately, still not there as far as the apps.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest problem. Hopefully they'll get there, but they seem to pride themselves as being for people who really don't need apps because there's so much integration on there. But I think you do need the development. You do need the apps to kind of make everything fluid and make sense for the end user. I want to talk about something that you probably know a lot about, and that's the PS4. There was an announcement for the PlayStation 4 last week, and I really wanted to get your opinion on this, where they're headed with this, and if you think that this device is really going to be a killer when it comes to the console and when it comes to a media device in your living room. The PS4 is going to have 8-core, 64-bit, x86 Jaguar CPUs from AMD, Radeon GPU with 18 computer units. I don't know exactly what that means. So it's going to be very fast. It's going to feature an 6x Blu-ray player, 802.11n Wi-Fi, USB 3.0, Bluetooth 2.1, HDMI, optical out, AV out, so everything you could imagine. I really want to know what you think of this thing because they unveiled it. They unveiled the controller. They didn't unveil what it looks like, and they didn't really show the UI as much as I was hoping they would.
Yeah, Paul talked about on What the Tech. I have to have difference of opinion with him. I think that people needed to see what the console was going to look like because what else are you going to reference to the just the consumer that doesn't care about all these tech specs that you just talked about, Andrew? I mean, what does it look like? How cool does it look? Oh yeah, I mean, people have to be very visual with what they're seeing. They have to see the UI, like you just said. They have to see all this stuff, not stuff from these games that obviously, and Nokia was guilty of this too, the pre-rendering stuff or kind of fudging the experience to make it look like it's in their favor. Sony, it brings pause to me and maybe a lot of consumers to say, well, they didn't make the console yet. They don't know what it's going to look like, and they aren't even sure, like the Wii U. Where are we going with it? Will it be finished by the time? If not, we'll throw it out and then we'll throw a software update on it. I mean, the Wii U is still not ready.
I have a Wii U, Michael, and when I got it, I got it. I was excited. I played Mario. I said, "Wow, this is so awesome!" Because my wife was watching TV and I had the Wii on, and I was playing it on the actual controller. I'm like, "This is so awesome!" The Mario game was a lot of fun, but I beat it within like a week, and there was nothing else for me to play.
And what happens after that?
Yeah, I mean, they really don't have too many games out there. There's not much you could really do on it. I downloaded the Batman game, and I played that for a little bit, but I don't have the time. So as a casual gamer, the Mario game appealed to me, and that's who the Nintendo Wii U is kind of appealing to, right? The casual gamer kids, not the hardcore gamer, but you're right. It's not complete yet. It's missing so many key functions and key games where now it's been turned off for the last 3 months, just sitting in my bedroom.
Well, it doesn't matter anyway because they put a pause on games till what? Sometime after PAX East or something like that. So you don't even have the games coming out. They're still so far behind. And I was somewhat tempted during football season because of all the stuff they had integrated with the cable box. But if you're a TiVo subscriber, well, if you're not a TiVo subscriber, it's not even a feature you care about because I'm not. But if you're a TiVo subscriber, you still have to wait for that functionality to be built into the Wii U. How do you feel? How do you feel as someone that bought the Wii U? Do you feel like a guinea pig? Do you feel like a beta tester? Do you feel like a sucker that just keeps being suckered in by Nintendo? Because that's what I tell Colm all the time. You and Brett and all these people keep being suckered in by the same stuff. Then they're going to release a Wii U 2 in June or July.
Yeah.
It's just, it pisses you off, but you still go back and pay the $350 or $400 or buy the brand new 3DS or 3DS XL or 3DS.
Do you know why I buy it? And I'll tell you, Nintendo has done a very smart thing with their marketing. They've marketed themselves as a cheaper console. When in reality, it's not all that cheaper than what Nintendo, what Sony is putting out there, and what Microsoft is putting out there. It's what it is. It's like $300, but you got to get this. You got to get the 32 gig model. Plus, you got to get all the accessories because it doesn't come with the nunchuck controller or the other stick one. So you have to buy those. By the end of the day, you're at like $500.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, if you want to talk about cheap gaming that's fun, I would tell people to revisit the Wii, the original Wii. There's some great deals on bundles with all that stuff you just talked about for probably about $100. Or if you go on Craigslist, just people looking to offload it. And I still think the Wii is, if you're talking about casual gaming, why spend $350 when you could spend under $100, get Wii Play, Wii Sports, and probably never have to touch another Nintendo game after that? Because those two games offer so much fun for parties, so much variety that you can never get bored with it.
Do you so what do you think they're going to do with the PS4? Do you think it's going to be able to survive and I'm amazed at the fact that PlayStation has sold as many units as the Xbox, because the Xbox really has become dominant when it comes to gaming. Because
Blu-ray.
because you have, it's a Blu-ray, yeah, obviously.
Right.
But do you think they're going to be able to kind of compete in this market?
I think what looking at it the other way around, now the PS Vita owners like myself, I don't know if you have one, Colm has one, and a lot of other people, now we feel justified with our Vita purchase because we didn't know if they were going to come out with a Vita 2, which really would have made me angry. But now with the Vita, now with being able to do basically across the board crossplay, at least they say, because they never came through with that promise on the PS3 when the Vita came out. So who's to say we should trust them with the PS4? But if they do, at least now you have a full cross-play experience with every game. But outside of that, I don't know. I mean, if the Xbox 720 or Xbox Next or whatever we're calling, if that has Blu-ray, I'm a one-console guy after that. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, it really comes down to who's going to be able to control the living room, because to me, the gaming has almost become secondary for these devices, and it's all about the all-in-one integration, the apps, the this, the that. I mean, when you're competing in a market where you could get everything on a device compared to just playing games on one, you're going to go with everything.
Well, let me ask you a question. What is Sony known for with their media, with their entertainment version and all that, or their entertainment segment of their systems? Locking stuff
DRM,
down.
yeah.
So you can't even record video games or stream video games from a PS3 without going through a component. They lock it down so much. They're so like Sony first, and then we'll maybe think about these other places or these other forms of media or any of this other stuff. I think Microsoft is just going to be saying, this is a hub. We're pretty much going to open it up much like we do with our PCs and have fun with it.
Are you interested in the second screen experience of these devices? Because that seems to be the thing now. I mean, everybody's pushing second screen experience. Even in television now, everything is about the second screen experience. They tell you, well, go download the app so you could see what's happening during the break, you know?
I think Xbox way, way, way ahead of the smart glass or second screen experience with PS3 and PS4, because they can't even get the PS3 and the Vita to communicate properly right now on a full 100% error-free basis. Have you tried that? It's sort of a bit of a nightmare. And you're talking about two Sony products trying to talk to each other.
I'll tell you, Michael, I haven't turned my PlayStation 3 on in about 2 years.
Wow.
It's literally sitting in my living room. I don't even think it's plugged in.
So you have a second Blu-ray player for like Dark Knight Rises or any of these other DVDs?
You know what? I'm doing. I've gone all online at this point. I've gone all digital, and I know it's not. Listen, you're not going to get the best quality out of it, but for me, it's the convenience of just being able to just watch it, streaming.
Oh, I agree. I mean, I the only DVDs or Blu-rays I buy, just Blu-ray, is the Batman related stuff. So there's not going to be anything coming out for that for a very, very long time.
That's so funny you say that, because the last DVD I bought was The Dark Knight. was Batman. I watched it on Blu-ray.
It's a beautiful experience, but I've also struggled and wrestled with the fact that, is this the only thing besides MLB The Show? And now I got a Vita, and MLB The Show is awesome on the Vita. So why not just have the Vita for my gaming experience and playing the show, and trade in that PS3 now and get some money for it? And if the Wii U was up to snuff, that probably would have been the road I went down.
Well, you know what's fascinating, and we'll kind of move on after this, but the market for gaming in the living room has totally changed. Before, it was the three guys. It was Sony, it was Nintendo, and it was Microsoft. Now, it's totally different, because the competition that you have is the iPad is competing. Android is competing. And then you have all these add-on, these like the Valve and Steam are now in the living room. And then you have other devices that they're going to sing, the Android devices, you're going to be able to play games in the living room. You just connect it. It's just one little stick. So gaming has totally changed at this point. I think this is going to be the year where we start seeing major shifts in momentum between the consoles and these, small, streaming devices that are going to kind of take over the market.
Yeah, I think Steam's going to be the future. Steam is definitely going to be the cloud-based gaming system. And with Big Picture, and now I have Retina Display MacBook Pro.
It's beautiful.
It is. I'll tell you what, I was a huge fan of OnLive. I had a working relationship with them for reviewing their products. But I felt like the $10 a month to get 40, 50, 60 games to choose from, and getting cloud saves and be able to put your brag clips up from OnLive. I thought OnLive was onto something. I don't know why they didn't succeed, probably because of agreements and licenses and just money in general. But OnLive was such a great, easy experience. I could take that thing anywhere I want with me, and if I had a wired internet connection, I could play in the hotel room.
And how good was the latency?
It was pretty good. You're talking about like maybe the graphics a little bit better than the PS2, maybe almost Xbox 360. Not really great graphics, but the experience, and what I always touted for it was, hey, if you got a young kid, and you want to pay $10 a month flat rate so they can play these games and not damage physical media, then it's worth $120 a year. When you buy a $100 system like that, it is not. $220 to play 40 to 50 games is not a bad deal.
I'm going to ask you a question, and I'm hoping you can answer this. So in the 80s, and possibly in the early 90s, there was this console, and the console worked based on VHS tapes. Do you remember that? And they were mostly shooter games.
I don't remember that. The only systems I remember, obviously, your Ataris, your ColecoVisions, your Intellivisions, and the one that started all this disc-based, really high quality graphics was the Panasonic 3DO. That I thought that was going to kill the PlayStation.
I have a 3DO in my attic.
It's an amazing system for what it did. And until PlayStation took over, looked like it was going to be the number one system. VHS tapes.
Oh, I found it. It was called the Action Max.
That sounds awful.
And you used to put in, it had a game like Sonic Fury, and there was a ghost game. And pretty much what you did was you connected it to the TV, and it would come with cassettes, and you would shoot, and it would buzz, like it would ring, and the winner would be how many shots you got.
Wow.
I'm going to post it in the chat room for people who want to see this thing.
How are the graphics?
Phenomenal, actually, considering it's a VHS. It's far better graphics than anything else.
You got the little film thing going across, like a little static.
I had this thing. I remember this was actually probably my first console before Nintendo. 1987.
I never heard of it. That's worth some money if you got the system.
Yeah, my father bought this. I think he got it off on like Queens Boulevard from like some like van. The same guy that was selling you the illegal cable boxes, he got it from him.
Awesome.
I will talk about useless products. Now, Google announced their Google Pixel, which is their touchscreen MacBook Pro like Chromebook. And I've been kind of rough on Google with the Chromebooks, but it serves a purpose. I think for education, it's great. I think for lower cost devices for developing countries, I think something like this could be phenomenal because it allows them to connect to the internet, allows them to have a cheap alternative to everything else that's on the market. Well, they released the Google Pixel. Specs-wise, it's not bad at all. It's an i5. It's a touchscreen device. It's 3:2 resolution, so it's pretty much square. It's not widescreen. A little weird. It's a little sharp-edged. Resembles a MacBook Pro. Touchscreen. But the problem with this thing is that it's like $1,600. And I can't see anybody buying this thing. I understand developers, they're making it for developers, but that's not how they're marketing this thing. They're marketing it as a touchscreen, higher-end Chromebook. $1,500, Michael. I mean
you guys covered it on What the Tech. You pretty much said all needs to be said. If you're talking about developers, it should be a very affordable price. Like the Nexus 4 unlocked is $299 with no contracts. So they're moving the exact opposite way with a Chromebook. I go into Best Buy, I go into certain stores, and you go to their open box or they're mostly returned items, and they give you a great discount. There's a stack every time I go in of Chromebooks, the Samsung ones, the ones that aren't even that much. They're like, we're talking what, $329 or something like that. And I don't think that's even, I think the way to go with those things are iPads, iPad 2s, iPad 3s, whatever. I think a school is going to be better off buying that stuff because you can do much more with it at a cheaper rate. The updates are better. The Chromebooks just lose their support. I mean, what was that first one? The CR51 was the beta one where everybody signed up for a free one. That was useless. And then there was a Samsung one after that, and now the newer Samsung. And I don't get it. I don't get it how Google can throw something out with, and you're like, your tone of voice, you're like, well, it's not bad. It's got an i5. Well, for $200 more, they can get this Retina MacBook Pro. It runs better.
Yeah.
It runs faster than my 2011 i7 iMac. I mean, that's crazy.
I mean, I'm just trying to figure out who's going to buy this, and I know someone that ordered this thing.
Oh my god!
And I'm like, why? He's like, well, I think it's a pretty cool thing, and it's touchscreen. I'm like, do you know how many great touchscreen devices are on the market right now with Windows 8 devices, Windows 8 laptops? I mean, there's some great touchscreen laptops on the market right now, and they're not going to cost you $1,500.
I have no love for the Surface Pro.
No love at all.
And I would buy that before this.
That's funny.
I would, because at least I know the experience I'm getting. At least I know the updates I'm getting. At least I know the Windows experience. And at least I know that I don't know. It's better than this piece of garbage.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of surprised that they released this thing, and a couple of people were defending them, and they're saying, well, they're not about making the money. They just want to put this device out. Well, if they weren't about making the money and they don't care about selling this device, why aren't they just putting it out for like $500?
Or giving it away like the first one?
Yeah, give it away to developers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a cool idea, but for the price, it's absurd.
I keep going back to the point of economy, but that's who we kind of cater to in our audience with consumers. We are not in the era with this economy, and now we have these huge budget cuts and all this other stuff affecting normal people in America. We have no time for, well, it's a cool product. We have to go, all right, well, this is going to last me a couple of years. Is it going to be good? Am I going to have to bring this in for service? How's the support? All the important questions. And price is the number one thing. Not, well, it's kind of cool.
It's nutty. It's really nutty.
Not everybody's a tech reviewer that gets Nokia 920 sent to them or gets fitness products sent to them. And they're not. Normal people have to go out and buy all this stuff.
Copyright alert system gets started. ISPs are getting ready to lay the smackdown on peer-to-peer piracy. I don't know if you saw this, but this is, I guess, the first shot at that 6 strikes and you're out policy that internet service providers like Verizon, Time Warner, AT&T, and Comcast are going to start doing. So They're going to have an entire, I guess, structure on how they're going to do this, where the first time it's a warning, second time it's a warning, third time it's maybe like they govern your speed, fourth day you get a suspension, and then you got to pay the American Arbitron Association a $35 fee to dispute your copyright violation. Do you think this is actually going to be implemented to the point that they're following it?
I have heard about the 6 strikes, but they were talking about that violating something with net neutrality. Net neutrality's been this big 800-pound gorilla in the room that it comes up every so often, and I'm sure net neutrality will come up with this argument too. The 6 strikes and you're out is kind of like an excuse for them to just watch you and see what you're doing. Now, I don't know what ends up happening if this is going to be a brand new. Does this have to do with, like, if people don't know what NZBs are like, kind of like the new torrent sites, but they're more secure and they're shutting those down left and right too. Is this sort of combating NZB stuff?
I think it's for torrent. I think it's for people that are still using peer-to-peer services and people that are still using, torrent to download their pirated whatever they're downloading. I'm curious on how they know what you're downloading. Are they going to be looking at everybody that's downloading, from peer to peer, and they're going to start sifting through, I guess, the data that's coming on, or are they going to go based on complaints?
Well, here's the dangerous thing. Okay, we're going to, you run how many shows a week out of your studio. Use the internet to stream those shows. I'm going to be doing T4 show and a lot of other stuff streaming. When they may look at the upload download thing and see, oh my God, he's transferring a lot of bits back and forth. He's got to be downloading something illegally. No, I stream a show every day, like your show. I stream a 1-hour show once, twice, maybe 3 times a day. And Comcast, whoever you have, Fios might say, oh, no, you're not. No, you're not. You're downloading like this cam footage of this brand new movie that just came out. Because why would this take up gigs and gigs of space? And you say, well, I distribute it to 10 different places, and I'm streaming and I'm pre-recorded. There's internet running 24/7. They can't discern what it is, but you're guilty until proven innocent. That's the screwed up part.
Yeah, because Verizon, fascinatingly enough, does not throttle, and they don't care what you're really downloading.
They don't cap either, right?
What?
Fios doesn't cap.
No caps, no throttling. They don't really care what you're doing. And every time I've come, they go, it's none of our business what you're doing, we just see a lot of data going back and forth, and because I had a problem, they were trying to determine what the problem was. So my only thing is that they're probably going to go based on complaints, or maybe they're going to look at certain ports that are open. They're going to see what's going through those ports.
Well, it's still invading your privacy. And what complaints? Your next door neighbor gets pissed at you and say, I know he's downloading movies. Yeah. Go get him. I just think it's a slippery slope. I think if they spend, there's so much money spent on preventing the 3 to 5% of people that actually download and pirate or do whatever that's supposed to be illegal right now. They spend much more money doing that rather than just letting it go and trying to build up the infrastructure and make it better for the other 95%. And if a lot of these places were not so selfish, like the music, the movie industry, and all this stuff, and went to his subscription-based model, like, say, Netflix type stuff, I wouldn't bother doing it. I mean, nobody would. They'd be like, oh, well, like Spotify is a perfect example. Spotify and all these other services, I don't think anybody really pirates or downloads music anymore because, man, $10 a month, I get 15 million songs. Why even bother?
You get everything that you're looking for, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, for me, it's not worth the hassle, and I don't think anybody else it's worth the hassle because I get way more songs I even know are out there, and I get to download them offline, and it's $120 a year. So what? Big deal.
$10 a month, but they even have the obscure stuff on there, right?
On Spotify?
Yeah.
Well, obscure, I don't know. It's there, so it's got to be pretty obscure. But I just mean, this is one or two things got to happen. Either it's going to get much worse, or I hate to say it, someone like Apple has to step in and do what they did with iTunes when it comes to a la carte or on-demand stuff from the cable companies. Only they are going to be able to break into the next level or break that barrier and make the consumers say, I want NFL Network, ESPN, 2 or 3 more channels, and that's my cable service. And that's all I care about.
Yeah, I'm curious how this thing is going to play out, and we'll see it in the coming months on what happens if they actually enforce this six strikes and you're out policy that all the ISPs, the major ISPs in United States are implementing. I don't know. Are you much of a gambler, Mike? You don't look like a gambler.
No, just my life, not my, not my money, just my life.
So we know Michael Mann is not a real gambler. He just gambles with his life.
I would probably be better off doing it the other way, but no, I've come this far.
I'm not much of a gambler either. I do go to Atlantic City every now and then, and I'll lose like a ton of money, and then I'll be very disappointed, and I'll say to myself, why did I do this? But Nevada is becoming the first state to allow online gambling. New York City, we don't have gambling per se. We have machines, but they don't have actual tables here yet. They've actually put a casino in Queens here that's doing really well, but there's no tables. It's all slot machine, and I think it's just like video poker at this point. But Nevada is becoming the first state to allow online gambling. Online gambling was happening years ago, and they shut it down because they said it's illegal. You can't do it. But this is actually starting a lot of controversy, saying that, what's going to happen? How are they going to gamble online? Is this necessarily bad? How are we going to be able to kind of fight fraud, and how are we going to fight other issues with gambling? For years, people have been wanting to do this, and now you can in Vegas. But how does that work that they're going to only allow it in Vegas?
I don't understand. The number one thing, let's not kid ourselves or anybody else. They're trying to figure out a way to make money off it, the government. They're trying to figure out a way to tax it. They're trying to figure out a way to maximize their money that they take out of it. And I don't get it either, because it's all over when you watch these NFL pre-shows and all this. Where do you think they get the whole thing? Like the Patriots are favored by 3 points over this. They're literally telling you what the gambling odds are on every pre-show.
Yeah.
It's so mainstream. I don't get it. I mean, people should have a choice to do what they want with their money, and then they need to pay. Like you lose a ton of money. Well, all right, time to get a few more advertisers and sponsors because I got to make this money. That's the way that people should make choices, good, bad, or indifferent. I don't understand the government stepping in unless they want to make some money off it.
Of course, yeah.
And that's the only reason they're really letting it happen, Andrew.
Listen, if gambling was the issue, then why do we have the lottery?
Oh, I don't know. We live in a world of double standards. We live in, I don't know if I can say it, but the pussification of America, where everybody's so going through these minefields and trying to figure out what they can do to get ahead on their own agenda, these politicians and these government officials, and trying to veil it in morality by saying, we know you're not supposed to gamble, but wait a minute, play our lottery, the state lottery, because we need the money. It's crazy. It's enough to make your head spin. Do whatever the hell you want. Gamble all your money away, lose it, and then pay the consequences, or win. And, good luck next time, because you're not going to stop.
Yeah, they're actually saying that a lot of casinos were a little upset that they're going to allow online gambling in Nevada, but then they realized that they could team up. So let's say I'm thinking of a casino, the Tropicana, for example. The Tropicana could team up with an online gambling site and have their logo and have everything on there and be the official, online gambling site of the Tropicana, and they're going to be able to capitalize on that. They're going to be able to brand these websites depending on where you are, and I think that's phenomenal. They should allow it why not? People gamble every day.
Well, you got to think about it too. There's enough elderly and senior citizens out there that want to go to Atlantic City, want to go to Vegas. They're not quite up with the times. This is very much a young person's way of gambling if they want to do it. And Vegas, I don't think is going to suffer. You know what? The tourist attractions outside of the casinos may suffer a little bit because people don't have to go gamble and they don't have to do the other things that go along with it. But there's still going to be certain people that just say, we want to go to Vegas, get a cheap flight to Vegas, go out for the weekend, come back. And maybe they should step up the entertainment portion of the casinos, and that would draw people in.
I think so. Listen, I haven't gone to Atlantic City in a couple of years. I used to go to the Borgata Hotel there, and I haven't gone in years because, A, I don't have the money to throw away like that, and B, it's too much of a hassle. But if you make it a little convenient, then, you might get my money. Who knows? I know they're not getting yours, though.
All that money on studio equipment, I'm sure you don't have any to gamble. When you go to play roulette, just throw one of those screens behind you up on the
Here you go. You know how they used to be like, here's my car keys, put this down? Yeah. I'm going to start putting microphones down on the table. That's going to be my thing.
Grab that belt and put it on the table.
Yeah.
It's got to be worth something.
Michael, I think we should do our picks of the week. I don't know if you have one. Do you have one today? Because I have one.
It's not a once again, I go off the beaten path and don't pick a tech item, but I'm going to say the new DDP Yoga, which I haven't tried yet, but it looks like it's pretty scary. It's called DDP Yoga Extreme. I think this kind of stuff is great for a lot of people that don't want to go to a gym, that want to do home-based workouts. DDP Yoga has been one of my favorite type of workouts to do in a hybrid with other stuff, but I think it's a great thing for standalone workouts too. A lot of people I know do it exclusively, and it's very affordable. The best thing about it is not only people like me, but DDP himself is very accessible online, very accessible. More times than not, that guy will call you after you buy it.
Does he really?
Started? Yeah, he does. He calls a lot of people and he says, well, have you tried it yet? Did you do it? And he'll be very motivating in that way. Oh, I've seen him do it.
Mike, have you done the extreme one?
Not yet. I opened it.
Oh, you just opened it.
I think I'm going to try it tomorrow. I actually have to rip these and put them on my iPad because obviously, just like you, I live mostly digital, so I don't have a DVD player. I don't have a drive on my Retina MacBook Pro. But yeah, there's some stuff here that's very, very tough. This would have to be like tomorrow and Sunday are my off days with Athlete X. So it would have to be a standalone DDP yoga day like Saturday and Sunday because these workouts look to be that tough. But you got YRG and you also have the DDP yoga workouts that I'm currently doing, which have like, I don't even know, like over a half dozen different workouts that you can do. And then you work your way up to this. So I don't even know.
I spoke to Michael, for people who don't know, off the air. We were talking about, my back injuries and how I want to get back into it. And he's been kind of guiding me as far as, what kind of workouts to do. But you're big on the DDP yoga. And I know people that have done it and they swear by it.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking to a guy that's broken his neck twice, is carrying around a lot of injuries right now. Has a very severe knee injury right now. And the thing that's bought me the time and still let me perform at a high level is DDP yoga. It's basically like the most important physical therapy that I do on a daily or every other day basis. So before every match I do it, sometimes after my matches, I do it just to stay loose. And I'm not talking about the 1 hour ones. I'm talking about they have very basic 10-minute wake up. They even have some other ones that are the basic YRG ones. And then the full workouts where you don't dare put another workout in with it that day. So I just can't be happier with it. And I'm very happy that a great guy like DDP is successful with his brand.
That's great. That's amazing, actually, that he's been able to do this so well. And so many people praise it. I mean, and that's really all that you need. You could have all the infomercials that you want, but if people aren't actually going out and saying to people, like, listen, you have to do this. It's unbelievable. Like you told me, it really speaks volumes for it. And I'm excited to try it. I should be starting it. I always say Monday will be the day. And I really think this Monday will be the day because I went totally overboard with my eating and drinking over the last couple of weekends. So I think it's time for me to kind of pull back and really start getting into shape.
I hate the Mondays, the Monday starting date. I think you should start it today or tomorrow. I think instead of going to the bar and drinking, you should do yoga.
I have a couple meetings tomorrow, Michael.
Do they? I didn't know they were 18-hour meetings.
Well, they end up becoming 18-hour.
You can't do it to me. I got a 200-mile drive down and 200-mile drive back from a show, and I'm still going to manage to do yoga.
Listen, you know what? Yeah, fine. I will start it tomorrow, and I will tweet about it.
That's better. One last thing though about the stuff with DDP yoga, nobody, including me, is paid in any way or compensated in any way to do a testimonial for this. This is all just people that have actually used it, and the people that don't tell how great it is or even say some bad things about it because it's yoga, never have done it. Just keep that in mind.
My wife is big on the yoga. She does aerial yoga. She hangs from curtains from the ceiling. That's literally what they do. They hang curtains and you do these like twirls on it.
Oh, I've seen that. It's like the ballet stuff.
Yeah.
That's cool.
She does that. So my pick of the week.
Over 500,000 videos if you recorded that and put it up to YouTube.
You know how many? I've posted one video of us on vacation. We went to Aruba on our honeymoon, and I posted that video. It has like 5,000 views already. Because we're on the beach and she's in a bikini, and I get random comments, and a lot of them are like hip hop websites that Like they're like, oh, I like your video. Girl got a booty. Check out my latest rap video. And I can't understand why the rappers are attracted to this video. Can't figure it out.
It's the same thing that the non-rappers would be attracted to, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know, but I guess they're not vocal about it. My pick of the week is something that I kind of showed off a couple of weeks ago. AT&T, courtesy of AT&T, they sent over a Nokia Lumia 920 for me to review, and I've been using it primarily full-time for a couple of weeks, and they wanted me to do a review and to be honest about what I like and what I don't like about this phone. I know Michael had a Lumia 920, so I know he's going to be able to kind of chime in here with some of the aspects of the phone, some of the things that he likes. First of all, to talk about what it looks like and how it feels, this is a phenomenal phone. Just if you're looking for design quality and you're looking for the craftsmanship of the phone, I don't think there's anything on the market currently that beats this. This is one of the most well-built phones that I've ever used, and I've used a lot of phones. As you can see, very different UI. It's tile-based rather than it just being icons and icons and icons where you scroll and you go backwards and sideways to do it. Very unique UI, which I actually like. One of the things that people don't like is the UI, and it's very difficult to kind of get a hang of it. But I gave this phone to a couple of people that really don't use smartphones, and they really got the hang of it. So I really think it's just a matter of getting used to and breaking the mold of what kind of products we're used to using. Some of the things that I really like is, like the video and music feature that they have here. Podcasts are available. You could download music. You could download videos. As it was loading, actually. Let me load it up again, and I'll show you here. Michael, did you download anything on when you had it? Did you use the podcast feature and all the other stuff?
Yeah, I would recommend, you have YouTube on there. I would recommend the app MetroTube. What a beautiful app, the way you look at, it's basically comment, like, even upload YouTube videos. Really, really nice. But you can stay in the Windows Phone ecosystem with the standard stuff. Like you said, everything is integrated and really still have a great experience, a very enjoyable experience. I think the messaging feature with everything unified is really attractive. Kids Corner is cool for parents that have to watch what they can, handing a kid a phone and not having to see anything. But I have to say, man, I don't know why. It's basically, I think Windows Phone is the least customizable and the most customizable at the same time. It's basically that start screen, but you can make any kind of staggered kind of like Tetris style block setup that you want with double wide, with smaller ones. You just can't go wrong with it, and it does not slow down.
No, it doesn't. And that's the amazing part of it. And to kind of talk about the specs and the actual usage of this phone, something that I really noticed and that I really appreciated was no matter how many applications I use and no matter how demanding they are of the CPU and the video on this thing, there's no sluggishness. There's no slowdown, which was a huge thing. When I'm using my Google phone, my Nexus, or even the iPhone, if I'm running something that's a little heavy in the graphics, I'll feel the software kind of gets sluggish, and you really don't get this on this. They've really tuned the phone and the software. It's kind of tuned together, which is great. So a couple things that I wasn't crazy about. Really, the only thing I wasn't crazy about this phone was the lack of applications, which it wasn't that big of a deal, but something like, okay, there's no YouTube app on this. There's a YouTube app on every other phone on the market, but there really wasn't. And I was using a mobile thing where it just takes you to the site. But like Michael said, there's a different application you could do. The podcast app, they have their own, but there's a couple podcasting apps that really do well. Their marketplace is getting better. There's a full, wide range of Nokia applications on this thing too that you could use. I really like the TuneIn application to listen to podcasts and to kind of listen to on-the-go music on this thing and on-the-go talk radio. My biggest problem was the camera. I had an issue with the camera where everything was a little green when it comes to the white balance. And I've heard this complaint from other people, and they said, well, there's an update that fixed it. I feel that if you're in a room with a lot of lights, like if I'm in the studio, I'm going to take a picture right now. in the studio. So if I take a picture here, there's a green tint to everything. And I went to my in-laws' house and I took a couple pictures there too. And there was a little green tint when I was using the auto white balance. If I turned the auto white balance off and I kind of selected the white balance I wanted, it was great. It worked really well. So I guess it's not able to determine the proper white balance. I don't know if you had that problem, Michael.
Yeah, I did. And, this is another thing that you only have a chance. I mean, they've already used up how many first impressions, Nokia, with devices and what they've did with the 900. That needed a software update too that never really came for it. Now with the 920, same thing. It just seems like technology for everybody, not just them, but everybody across the board. Just when they come out with something new that's supposed to be cool and they hype it up, then they say after it's released, hey, just be a little patient, a little forgiving with us. I don't think that's cool. That's like putting something in our hands that you damn well know this camera needs an update. And now we're still waiting for that update. You haven't gotten it. Up until this day, March 1st, 2013, how many weeks or months has that phone been out?
Yeah.
They still have not fixed the camera. That's unacceptable.
No, I think it is, and I think that's a problem. I tried to use the cameras at many places as I can, and I still had that little green tint to it. Another aspect of the camera that I absolutely love is the fact that I could take multiple pictures with this thing, and depending on which shot I liked, I could kind of crop your head out of that and then select the right picture for that image. So I can manipulate it on the go, which is phenomenal. It's great. City Lens is pretty cool. Nokia City Lens, so you can hold it up and it'll show all the restaurants and all the businesses in front of you. Overall, I say this is, hardware-wise, phenomenal phone. I absolutely love the phone. Software-wise, a great operating system. The app still needs some development. We need some more apps for this thing. But I really think Windows and Nokia, they're onto something here. And they're doing something, Microsoft and Nokia, I should say, they're onto something here, which they're offering you a very unique experience with the phone, unlike anything else on the market. And I'm hoping to see, the coming generations of these devices. I'm really excited to see what they're going to be able to put out in the coming years, because the total integration of applications like Twitter, Facebook, and the Xbox stuff goes a long way for me. And this is a pick for me. I mean, it's a thumbs up in my court. And I'm excited to see what they do with this. And now,
I agree. I think it's probably the as far as build quality and something different, it might be the device of the year. I have a question for you though. Sure. I don't want to hold you up. I know we're well over an hour. I was also tempted by the 8X because of how unique and light and easy it was to carry around compared to the 920. Paul had both of them. Which does Paul prefer? I know he has an 8X, I think, but man, they both such differently unique phones that I was tempted by that as well.
Paul actually prefers the 8X over the 920. And I'm hoping when I'm sending this back to them next week, I'm hoping to get my hands on an 8X because I really would like to have a fair comparison of what they're like. But I had a chance to play around with the 8X. The 8X is a little lighter. The camera, from what I've heard, I have nothing firsthand. I've heard it's better, but it's lighter and the camera's better, but I don't know if the build quality is up to par with this phone.
Now it's like a soft touch, kind of a foamy soft touch type healing. So it has a chance to peel off or chip or do other things, but it's a fascinating phone. If they were both the same price, I don't know which one I would have taken. I would have bought because it's $100 more. And you got to buy, that's 32 gigs by default, which is a great deal for what? 450 unlocked or 450 no contract, and the 8X has the 16 and the 32. So to get the 32, I think it's 550 out of contract. So, I mean, higher price, but like you said, build quality on that's a tank. You could throw that thing across the room and nothing will happen to the wall.
I mean, it's people. People ask me like, well, don't you think it's a little heavy? No, I don't. I don't think that it's a little heavy. I actually prefer the weight of this thing over everything else that I use because it actually feels like a sturdy piece of device. It actually, the craftsmanship feels really good on this. But all said and done, I mean, I would definitely recommend this to somebody that wants something a little different. If they're tired of Android, they're tired of iOS, this is the phone to get, really. I wish I had some more time with it so I could play around with it. I'm hoping they send me an 8X next. I believe they're going to be sending me the Galaxy Note 2.
Oh, man.
So I had a Note. They had originally sent me a Note a while ago, and I when I got this thing, I did like an initial review, and I'm like, I hate this phone. It's really dumb. It's way too big, and I spent about 2 months with it, and I loved it. I fell in love with the phone, and I really didn't want to send it back after having it for a while because it was actually, it got the job done for me, and it was actually really cool having a larger screen like that. But again,
I got this version. I still haven't given it back to them yet. I'm waiting for them to email me and say we need it back because it's that good, man. I like using it.
Yeah, but really good phone. I want to thank the folks at AT&T for sending this over. I'm sending it back on Monday, and hopefully I'll have another phone next week to review. And I hope they're happy with this because I gave them a fair review of this thing, and I'm actually happy with it. Actually, I like the phone a lot. I have the Win Supersite app also installed on this thing, so Paul will be happy. Michael, thank you, man, for coming on. I know it was short notice. I messaged you this morning. Suncast wasn't going to be on, but I really appreciate you joining us today.
Oh, it's no problem. No problem. I mean, like I said before, we're going to be doing T4 show. Our first episode is going to be Monday at 2 p.m., I believe. So we're just setting up all the assets, the images, switching over the feeds to make it more accessible to everybody and really change the experience a little bit. So gadgets, some video games, and just an organic show that's going to kind of have its own personality, its own identity. And we're going to be switching over to the feeds with iTunes and everything, as far as I know, right?
Yeah, everything's getting switched over. Once we get everything up and running, of course, we're going to post it on our website. We're going to have a little About Us section for the T4 show. We're going to have bios about you and Colm. And I believe we have to set up the video and the audio on iTunes, but that should all be done within Monday or Tuesday. You know, the latest it should be done on Tuesday, depending on how fast we get the graphics out. But if you want to subscribe, definitely follow us at the GFQ Network on our website, gfqnetwork.com, or follow us on Twitter. You can follow Michael Manna or Colm at Culmination. It's Culmination, right?
Culmination.
Yeah. You can follow him, and you can get all the information there. Michael, I know you got a couple things coming up and a couple things to promote. You're wrestling this weekend.
Yeah, I'll be in Coral Springs, Florida tomorrow. I'll be in Sanford, Florida next week, and then the big Extreme Rising show, which we're working on something pretty cool with the GFQ Network. I'm waiting to hear back. I already put the pitch in for that, so it could be a pretty cool pre-show event type thing that you, Colm, and I will be a part of. Probably more you guys. I got to get ready to do other stuff. But, yeah, and as far as the show tomorrow and the show next week, I'm going to have my Shoot DVD and my In the Ring seminar and a bunch of other merchandise for intermission. So I'll be there.
Absolutely. And if you want to purchase Michael's Shoot DVD, you can go to rfvideo.com or rfvideonow.com to watch it on demand. You can get that. Or if you want to actually see what it's like to train and to kind of be taught by someone that has been in the professional wrestling business for many years. The seminar that you did with those young guys was actually really, really cool that I checked out.
Thanks. That's not training with me though. That's just me teaching.
You're teaching.
Training is my other face. It's not.
It's not as nice and happy.
It's nice and happy and calm. In the gym, I'm a little bit different.
I'd like to see that actually.
No.
I would like to see that. I would like to see the Michael Manna that's losing his mind and screaming at people.
I don't do that. I don't scream. I just
intimidate.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, I don't know. I'm on the spot.
Again, Michael Manna on Twitter. I'm Andrew Zarian on Twitter. What was that, Michael?
You wanted to train on Monday and see how I force you in the corner to start tomorrow?
Yeah,
that's the kind of accountability I do when I train people. So it's not rough or mean, but it's basically like no bullshit excuses. Okay.
Tomorrow, I swear to you, I'm gonna put the DVD in. I'm gonna start doing the DDP yoga.
Okay. I'm gonna have them call you.
Okay, fine. Tell them to call me.
I will.
Tell them to call me. And again, if you miss any portion of the show, go to our website, gfqnetwork.com. You can catch it archived there or on iTunes, on Windows Phone, and everywhere else podcasts are available. And I want to thank Michael again for coming on. And check out T4 Show this Monday, debuting on the GFQ Network at 2 p.m. East, live on gfqlive.tv. We'll see you all next week on Tech News Weekly. Good night, everybody.